the worst decision you can make under pressure is indecision. Freezing under pressure is the worst thing. It puts your team in jeopardy because we're not moving forward. So observe, orient, decide, and act. And the quicker you can run through that cycle, the better decision you can make quickly.
Tony is an ex-SWAT leader with real-world experience in high-pressure decision-making. He offers insights on leadership, discipline, and personal growth. And his 16-week aggressively masculine program helps unlock peak performance.
How can the next 16 weeks change their life forever?
Discipline equals freedom. So setting some habits and getting some good habits in place will help you for everything that you have to do. I really don't believe in work-life balance either. And this is where I guess would be answering your question, is that you should schedule your work around your life.
Let's go. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of 60-Minute Shows. And today I have a very special guest. You might have seen him on a lot of reels and definitely a lot of... I was once appeared on his podcast as well. And he's none other than my favorite. And especially I was watching the other day that it's been almost like a year since we started working together. Can you believe that? We started working in April last year and it's almost like a year. And and I was surprised, man. So please welcome my favorite, Tony Smith. How are you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I can't believe we've been together a year, me and you.
Yeah, man. April 2024 and it's like February, March, April. Yeah, it's been like almost 1 year, like 10 months. But yeah, man, close to 1 year, man. So happy.
Amazing.
Yeah, man, so happy. So I know you, and a lot of my team members definitely know you, since there's a lot of people who will be working on your content and stuff like that. But to one who are just watching this podcast for the very first time and they're seeing you, tell them a little bit about yourself, and we can just take it from there.
Well, my name is Tony Smith. I live in Canada, but I live only 1 kilometer from the United States. So I live right at the border next to Detroit. And I was a police officer for 20 years. And after, I was kind of getting a little bit upset and sick of my job and, some of the things that were changing there and how the world was changing. And I sought to make some changes myself. And my wife was also an undercover cop. And we started a gym in our house called the Garage Gym. And now here we are, about 6 or 7 years later. We've all retired. We both retired. And we have 4 different locations here in Canada. And I've started doing a little bit different stuff too. While I was a cop, I was a SWAT team leader. And part of that helped me, I ran selection courses and things that were really cool things for men to do. And I helped a lot of men open up. And I started doing that kind of in the real world. So I started coaching men both in person and now online, which is where... how you and I kind of met. I needed somebody to help me with my podcast and help me spread the word so I can get in front of more people and help more people. And I reached out to you, and here we are a year later, holding hands, baby.
Yeah, man. I would love to start from here. And my first question to you would be regarding your experience as an ex-SWAT leader. So we all know this is a very tough job, and you must have, it must have taught you a lot about leadership and decision making under pressure. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience with working such a tough job.
Well, it was a very demanding and tough job, and I was a SWAT team leader for 8 years. I was on the SWAT team for 10 years, and then I was a patrol cop for the 5 years in the front and back of that. And what I learned through thousands and thousands of missions and thousands of gun raids was that the worst decision you can make under pressure is indecision, no decision, freezing. So freezing under pressure is the worst thing that you can do. It puts your team in jeopardy because we're not moving forward. We're not moving together. And it also takes away your, not authority, because I don't really believe leadership is authority, but it takes away the respect of the guys. It was all guys that served with me. And you lose the respect of the guys when you're unable to make decisions under pressure, because they're all looking to you, and you got to make it quick and you got to move.
Yeah, makes sense. And is there something specific? Like, do you apply those lessons into your coaching today? Like anything in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the I work with mostly men, so I work with mostly dads and business leaders that want to achieve like peak mental and physical performance.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we go through this. It's like actually a lesson plan that I just did this week with with one of my coaching clients, and it was that it's traveling through the ability to make decisions quickly,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we call that the OODA loop. So observe, orient, decide, and act. And the quicker you can uh, cl- run through that cycle, the better decision you can make quickly. I mean, I should say the better you want to still make great decisions, but the quicker you can filter through that cycle and make a decision, the better you're going to be.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, you know, in the day and age of media and social media, a lot of people talk about the mindset being very crucial to success. Like, there's a meme even spreading on the internet these days, and the meme called like when you buy a $5,000 coaching program, and there's a whole module of about mindset. So people are really trolling it and people are making fun of it, but I personally believe that mindset is very crucial when it comes to success. What do you think about it? Like, uh, is mindset thing really that important, or like is it like very overrated? What do you feel about that?
No, I don't think it's overrated at all. I think it's very important. I think it's being very overly used for people who might
Hmm.
not be completely qualified in coaching that mindset.
Yeah.
But I think the warrior mindset, the and like really, I think people think you hear people speak, and my resume is pretty good, but it's nothing compared to some other warriors in the world, right? But to be
Hmm.
a warrior, you don't actually have to go to battle, right? To be a warrior, you have to serve something greater than yourself.
Hmm.
So, and I don't mean that from the spiritual standpoint. I mean that from serving others, right? So, as a
Hmm.
leader, as a warrior, you're there to serve others. And I think if you wake up with that mindset every single day, or you're able to quickly shift from a negative mindset to a positive one,
Hmm.
you're going to achieve things just that much faster. And one of my favorites, I have somebody who's struggling with something just the other day, and I worked for this old SWAT team leader when I first started. I call him old. He's old now, but he wasn't old at the time. He was a stud at the time, and now he's still hanging on pretty good. Shout out to my
Hmm.
buddy Bear. But anyways, Bear, my old team leader, used to say "fuck off" for a SWAT guy. That was his. Anytime things were really crappy, we went into a really
Hmm.
shitty situation, he would say "fuck off" for a SWAT guy. And what that meant was the situation is what it is. We
Hmm.
can't do anything about that now other than accept it and do everything we can to make it better. So no matter
Hmm.
how crappy things get, I had a rough month. I took a ball to the face. Wherever I split my lip open, I had
Yeah.
something going on. I had some kind of virus. I've had, but in all, it is what it is. We
Yeah.
can't change it. We just got to accept it and then work on making everything better. And I
Hmm.
think if you hold that mindset, that's the warrior mindset that's always stuck with me and something that I try to apply day to day.
Hmm. I believe when you talk about the mindset shift, uh, for example, I'm quoting myself here, like for a person like me, if I procrastinate and if I feel like, this is this I just came to the office and I feel like this is not the best day, and I don't have the right energy, right positive energy to for example, let's complete the podcast, or done my recordings, or complete this task and that task. But because there's no one pointing a gun on my head, because I can do that tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But in the tough scenarios like you have been through, I cannot even imagine somebody might be pointing a gun at your head, or the worst situation that could be happening around back then, in your SWAT days. But like, how can a person like me, who doesn't have anyone pointing a gun at their head, can just shift their mindset and just start to do do things done that that he or she is supposed to be doing. So what do you advise, or like, do you have any practices or something like that, any
Yeah, I
cheat
mean,
code?
there's all kinds of cheat codes. I really believe in like I set standards for myself and rules, standards of operations, I like to call them, and one is I will complete what is in my calendar, and I will take like a last night. Today it's morning here right now. I know it's evening for you right now, but last night before I went to bed, I reviewed my calendar for today. I set my priority list for my tasks that I had to complete, and I enter them into a calendar. And like
Mm-hmm.
at 8 a.m., I am doing this task and this task only. And I have set a standard operation that I will not skip those tasks. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is for you, and I said, like, you don't have to be a warrior through battle. You could be a warrior through service, right? A warrior is earned through service. And for you, you're serving a team,
Mm-hmm.
you're serving your customers, you're
Mm-hmm.
serving your family, because
Mm-hmm.
you're buying a house, man. Like, these things
Yeah.
that your business and depends on you. My
Mm-hmm.
business very much depends on you right now, right? So the ability to serve others and to hold those people so important, that
Mm-hmm.
is your motivation. So on the shittiest days, man, yesterday we're moving gym locations. We're moving into this beautiful gym, but to do so, I had to move out of my old spot. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a piece of turf, that you push the sleds on,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we're trying to pull it up because it's beautiful, and I want to bring, it's worth a lot of money, and I want to bring it to another gym, but it's glued down. It took us yesterday 8 hours, eight
Wow.
hours of chiseling the
Oh my
glue to try to
God.
protect the carpet and get this thing up. And we only made it 10 feet, and I still have 30 feet left to go.
Oh my
Like yesterday was
God.
a day where, I questioned, what am I doing here? We could just leave this thing. But, like, you have to hold yourself to a greater accountability. And I am like, why am I pulling that turf up? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to make my members happy. It's going to provide them a better service. It's going to make our facility nicer so that our team is going to enjoy going to work. There's just so much greater than just you in the actions that
Mm-hmm.
you do.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. There's just a silly question pop in my mind. So why did you just left that, a turf or carpet there, and instead of, buying something? Is that too expensive? Because today, while I was doing the MMA practice, my coach told me the carpet that you practice on, do you know how much does it cost? And I was like, I don't know, probably like 500 or $1,000 probably. And he was like, this shit costs around $10,000. And I
Yeah.
was like, hell nah. Are you serious? And he was like, yes. And this just, blew my mind. Like, these equipments are so expensive, especially the gym equipments, man. These things are so expensive. Is
Yeah,
that the
that
same thing
turf
in your
has
case?
it's gotta be, I would say, between its used now. I mean, I guess so, it's probably depreciated in value a little bit, but brand new, it would cost me $10,000 to put that in.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're gonna get it out. And you know what is important to me? I have interns.
Uh-huh.
And they've barely met me. And I
Uh-huh.
asked them to go there yesterday and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a leader, it was very important. They saw me right next to them, dripping in sweat, doing the
Mm-hmm.
same dirty work that
Yep.
I'm asking them as the lowest people on the totem pole here at the garage gym, right, to
Mm-hmm.
do. So I think that's a good cue to leadership, is you don't always have to. There's a lot of work to delegate. But I
Yep.
really take pride when the work is really bad, that I'm going to be
Mm.
there right there next to them, because nobody wants to do that. It doesn't matter what they're getting
Yeah.
paid, or their students and how much money they need. Nobody wants to do the work we were doing yesterday, but we will do it, and we'll do it together. We'll chisel away 1 inch at a time. And you know what? We just kept setting goals. We got 30 feet to go, and we didn't worry about getting to the end. We just worried about, I'd make
Wow.
a line in the pavement and say, hey, at this time, we take a break. We go grab some lunch. At this time, we take a break. We grab a coffee. And we just kept chiseling away, and we're going to keep doing it. And you know what? You know what happened at the end yesterday when I'm driving home? I've got a ski trip planned this weekend with my family. And these
Uh-huh.
two interns said, hey, we'll just go on Sunday, and we'll get the rest of that done without you. So you know what?
Wow.
There's buy-in there, right? There's buy-in, and there's leadership, and there's them taking ownership of this place, even though they're only interns.
Mhm. Okay, so there's a question pop up in my mind. Do you think that this is something inside you? Like I'm specifically talking about the leadership thing, because like uh, I'm not sure, but what I feel like that nobody taught you these things. Uh, but like the question that I'm trying to make here is that is being a leader, is it something that inside some people, and they tend to like polish it and become better leaders, or like do you think that this is something that could be taught, and anyone can be a leader? Like, what do you feel about it? Like,
I feel like there is something inside of people that makes them a better leader, but I really do
hmm,
think it's coming from something in your upbringing. I do believe that right from when you're young, I'm really working hard on my sons,
hmm,
and under them understanding service to others, them understanding accountability and ownership, and not necessarily getting in line and following what everybody else is doing, but making their own decisions. And my father pushed me to do that very same thing. And I think my father started to see something in me. I really took a fascination to leadership, actually. And I started reading, and I was, it started with sports, the team captains, and then it started to become more into the warriors. And my father just kept feeding me information. My dad was a great leader in his own right. It still is, I believe. And, he helped me develop that. So I do believe that there's a skill inside, but then I do think that it's like any skill, it needs to be, you want to dribble a basketball, you got to practice dribbling a basketball. So if you want to be a leader, or you are a leader, you can't just stop dribbling. You got to keep dribbling to get better and to improve, just like you and your fighting. You can't take even, your coach, if he takes years off, his skills are going to diminish. So you need to practice that every day. And it's a skill that you continue to work on. And that's why I think with a lot of fathers, I think you asked me earlier about, just a guy like you doesn't have a gun to your head. Like, if you are a father, you're a man, you're in a position of leadership, whether you want to or not. And you can't turn leadership off. The burden of leadership is you can't decide, I'm a leader now, I'm not a leader in an hour. No, you're a leader at all times. Like yesterday, we're knee deep in this demolition of the gym, and we're driving. And I have these 2 interns with me, and there's a lady stuck in a snowbank, an old lady. You can't choose when to be a leader. So what do we do? We got stuff to do. I wish we didn't have to, but we stop, and we're going to dig this lady out, and we're going to push her car out, because that's who we are. Right. So that's what you wake up in the morning, you don't want to do this podcast. Well, man, too bad. That's who you are. Right. So we got to get this shit done.
By the way, I really love to do podcasts with you.
It was just an example. I got it.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say you work with very specific people inside your coaching program, I would love to come on your coaching program later. But just to clear one thing, like, is there any specific criteria, like, or anyone can, any man, any dad can come up to you and get coached by you, or is there any specific criteria? Because the reason why I'm asking this question is that if there's a guy who's not a businessman, who's not a successful who doesn't have a successful career, but he's struggling, but he somehow managed to have he saw your content and he saw your podcast and he's willing to learn from you and want you to coach him, like, can he do that? Or, like, is there any specific criteria, like, in terms of he should be at specific age level, or he should be at making this much money every single month, or, like, is there any criteria, or, like, you can coach anyone and everyone?
Yeah, I think it's one of the from a marketing standpoint, I know that you hate this answer, and but it honestly, I primarily work with fathers and business leaders, right? But Mike, who we both know, took this course from me 5 years ago. Seamus, who's been on my podcast and I've introduced you to, he took this course, and these guys are men. They're not fathers, They were. Mike is now, but it's to develop the skills to become a better father. So whether you're a father now or you want to be a father later, I really think if you ask Mike, it's helped him to be a better father now. It's helped him to be a better protector of Lisa and his new baby. And of his time. And so, no, it's not really anybody in specific. Those are the people that I do market to, but I do get so many people that don't even fall in that age bracket of, 35 to 45, which is kind of like my niche, or 35 to 50, I guess, these days as I'm getting older. And another funny thing is, how did this come? Why did I start working with men? This gym made me start working with men because of how strong I see these freaking women here.
Oh, really?
Yes. I tell women all the time, like, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing amazing. It's us that we got to worry about, because these women come in here and they know their weaknesses. They know their goals, and they get after it every freaking day. I thought I was going to have a gym full of men. I'm a former SWAT team leader, football player. I lift a ton of weights. I thought I was going to be full of men. I am full of women who come in here and kick ass every single day. And a bunch of dudes who are like, oh, I know what to do, I just don't do it. Shut up, right? They don't take any action. These women take action. So I'm trying to help men try to keep up, because these women, they'll man most men that I know. And that's what's
Yeah.
inspired me to really get after it. And so it's not like I'm in here every day influencing these women, and they're influencing me to get stronger and better at business. But so many women come in here and want me to help their husbands out, want me to help their sons out, want me to help their uncles, their
Wow.
fathers. And that's where this kind of all came from.
It took courage to say that you get inspired by those women. But yeah, man,
Man,
that this is really inspiring, man. And uh if you can just, just to let the viewers know, like if you can just divide the percentage, like how many, like let's say there's 1,000 people in your gym, so how many of them are like women?
so we are over 70% women.
Oh my god.
In my headquarters here in Amherstburg, we're over 85%. And the actual other two gyms, the smaller two gyms, the smaller because they're newer, they're younger,
Hmm.
are a little bit. So Kingsville, my second location, is about 70% and 65%. And then Windsor is right around 60%. So it's actually, I'm getting more and more diverse, I guess, for lack of a better word, and gender diverse as we expand. But Amherstburg, the primary location, the oldest location, it's almost all women. And you know what's hilarious is we used to have to fight with women when we first started, even 5, 6 years ago. They wanted more cardio, and they wouldn't want to come to strength days. Now I can't even get them to show up to cardio days. They want to lift every single day. It's incredible. It's been an amazing change, and I got
Wow.
to give Danny a lot of credit to that for sticking to her guns in terms of like,
Yeah.
hey, no, we need to lift weights too, ladies, and we need to eat some meat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out to Danny. Danny is Tony's wife. She's amazing, man. She's amazing. Okay, so uh, I was very fascinated about, you introducing your junior, you know what should I call it? You started training juniors, like your,
Yeah, Jack Juniors.
yeah, Jack Junior. Is this something new, or like this is just me who have seen this for the very first time?
Yeah, we haven't advertised it a great deal, and
Mm-hmm.
we you know what? COVID hit Canada very, very hard in terms of like the lockdowns, and I don't want to get into the politics or my beliefs on COVID or anything like that. But the truth of the matter is, the government and COVID made it very hard to operate here during lockdowns, and people made people very scared. So we had a huge junior program, we had a huge senior program, and during COVID, we had to shut those down and focus in one direction, which was keeping the core program that we offer, which is our unlimited garage gym memberships, right? So that was like 80% of what we did. And we had to just put our focus there. So we lost our junior and athlete programs. And now we've started to get them back. And we also, we had a great coach. That's who I'm going skiing with this weekend, who was running our junior program. And he moved on. He became a fireman, and he's got his own family now. Very happy for him. And now Austin has come up through the ranks. And you know Austin well. He's our
Mm.
director of training.
Yeah,
He loves working with
yeah.
kids. And so we've started to really get that youth program going. And then the fourth location that I spoke about is going to be all athletes. It's all focused on athletes, so teens, kids, maybe some adults, but mostly just youth athletes. And we're really looking forward to that. So we've been turning down a lot of athletes because our locations just aren't big enough and we're too busy. So now we
Mm.
have a facility built just for athletes. So the Jack Juniors here in Amherstburg, it's full. It was apparently the marketing's working because we've only put out a few ads, and it's jam packed already in the morning. And then looking forward to that fourth location and the athlete program getting started there, because I really do. One of
Mm.
my favorite things when I was a cop was going in and talking to kids and helping them. And we say it's athlete development, and that's how
Mm.
we get the parents to bring them in, and it's fun for the kids, and that's how we get the kids in. But at the end of the day, we disguise both of those two things.
Mm.
It's a leadership program. It's about leadership and confidence in children, and we do our best to get in here and speak on our experience and talk about things that maybe the
Mm.
parents don't want to talk about, but also
Mm.
assert the things the parents want to hear. In young girls,
Mm.
the ability to be confident and strong, and in young boys, the ability to communicate and be vulnerable. So all those great
Mm.
things.
Mhm. Uh, the question that I want to ask here is that we don't have something specific here. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure about Canada, but is this something that uh, is this something very common there, or like is this something that started after the COVID or something like that? I'm specifically talking about the Jack Junior kind of thing. Like, does other gyms promote junior programs, or like you take the pride saying that this is something that we started doing it?
I think some of the other boutique gyms like us do
Mm-hmm.
some junior programs. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they attacked it from the angle that we do.
Mm-hmm.
From day one, I know that the mindset coaching, like we talked about in the very first question of this podcast, has become
Mm-hmm.
so popular. But when we first opened and social media was just in its infancy, that's what
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
people ate it up. The mind is primary. And we talked at the end of every Friday, we have a little sermon and we talk about, different leadership things and things that I talk about on my podcast and on the reels. And now we do that with the kids as well. So I think that we attacked it from a whole different angle. It's not just about fitness, it's about
Mm-hmm.
leadership, self confidence, and communication skills, which I think the more
Wow.
video games, the more smartphones, the more these things take over, the more all of those things and fitness have become important because kids just don't get it the same way that, we did get growing up.
Wow, wow! Especially in the early years, if the base is strong, man, just imagine the kind of person they would evolve into, man. Yeah, I can really imagine. Like having a father of two girls, like they see me going to gym and they see me going to practice MMA, they get really inspired, like, and they show their interest. And as soon as I'm planning that, as soon as we shift to our new home, I'm planning to take my girls with me to the MMA practice, and I even talk about this with my coach today, and he was like really excited, man, and he was giving me credit for this, like you're thinking about you're thinking about this. And people here, the community that we live in, that people do not encourage such activities, especially for the girls here. But like I really wanted to do that, man. I'm really excited to do that, and I'll definitely share the progress with you, man, when they start to
Good. You should,
going with
man. You
me.
should. And,
Yeah.
and with your daughters, like I know, I mean, they're adorable, obviously, and you're going to want them to be able to, beat the boys away. But
Yeah.
it's more about them and that confidence. So,
Hmm. Yep.
and so that they don't need a man. They want a man,
Yeah.
right? They want the relationship. They don't need it. And I think that's the difference. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's where I don't have daughters, but I'm around so many women every day, and my wife, and like at the end, she chooses to be with me. She doesn't need to be with me, and I think that's
Wow.
the difference, right? And that's the confidence that I would want to see if I had girls. And I think people think when I say aggressively masculine, don't hear what I didn't say. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, I say that I think men should be strong, protectors, have the warrior mindset and the self awareness. In no place did I say women shouldn't have any of those things or don't have any of those things,
Exactly.
right? So don't hear
Exactly.
what I didn't say. I'm saying I want these masculine traits to be highlighted in the men
Hmm.
that come to my programs and in my own sons. But man, I want what I'm around some of the strongest women there are, and that's exactly they have that going on. And what's for me to say what a woman or who a woman should be?
I'm really impressed by what you said about it. And I was wondering, like, like week or so ago when we were doing your workshop, and I was a producer there, and I was noticing that you were sharing about like this is the knowledge that I have gained from here and there and stuff like that, and by reading books and everything. And this question that I'm about to ask was popped in my mind back then, that do you have a coach, or like do you just consume and just make stuff out of it? Like I'm really curious to ask you about this.
Well, I've had so many coaches over the years. Yes. So currently, do I have a
Okay.
coach? No. But I have so many mentors in my world, and still, and you probably see it the way that I tease you, and the way I am all over my team is like mentorship and bullying in my world looks a lot alike, right?
Okay.
Mentorship and bullying looks a lot alike in my world. However, the intent is completely different,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Bullying is to push you down. Mentorship is to raise you up. And I really do believe, and I call it stern kindness, right? So,
Hmm.
and I've learned that through my mentors. And I truly believe, I think a lot of people go on Instagram and try to sell themselves as this like completely bull crap, man. Like I
Hmm.
will, I will steal, beg, trade for anything that's going to make me better and make my clients better, make my product better. And,
Hmm.
ethically, right? But I will do
Yeah.
that. And I have taken from everywhere, from so many coaches, from my father, from SWAT team leaders that I served under, from special forces officers that I'm friends with,
Hmm.
and from business. Like, there's so many of my clients
Yeah.
that actually work with me that own businesses that are not even like they're like the size of a planet, and I'm like the size of a little town in terms of business.
Hmm.
I learned so much from those guys too.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
taking from everybody and learning, and then yes, I've hired coaches in the past that really helped me, and I'm part of the Business of Strength, which is like a gym business in New York City that really helps businesses, and those are longtime friends of mine, and they're Joe and Dan. They're a huge help for the gym business. So I guess yes, I do pay those guys
Hmm.
as coaches for the
Hmm.
garage gym specifically. But yeah, I do believe everybody should have a coach in some facility or some not facility in some kind of manner level.
Hmm.
Maybe it's an actual paid coach, or maybe it's just somebody that you call and you bounce ideas off of.
Hmm. Okay, that's impressive. The next question that I'm about to ask, before that, I would like to pin Tony's video up here, so you can just go and check it out. My question is related to that. Uh, on the internet, everyone's talking about these days that there's no work life balance. There's no work life balance, and this is all over the internet. I'm not sure you have seen any videos on this topic or not, but people are really stressing on this thing, that there's no such thing as work life balance. But the reason why I refer my audience to go and watch the video that I'm about to pin in the section here, and which is the Q method that you taught us on the workshop, setting up the priority list and stuff like that. Because I feel like no matter how busy you are, you can still prioritize, and still balance your work and your personal life. So do you, if you have to summarize that Q method to my audience, how would you like to summarize that?
Yeah, so I really don't believe in work life balance either, because I think all
Hmm.
the energy comes from one cup, right?
Hmm.
But I think I do believe that you should, and this is where I guess would be answering your question, is that you should schedule your work around your life,
Hmm.
right? So in doing so, I want to prioritize, first of all, the tasks and the relationships and the things that are so important to me. And I want to lock
Hmm.
those into my calendar first.
Hmm.
And then instead of having just a running to-do list that never gets to done, so to
Yeah.
speak, I want to prioritize my tasks
Hmm.
so that my personal and my business tasks are all getting done, but the important things are getting done at the most opportune time and the
Hmm.
fastest time and most efficient time, so that I really believe that wealth is discretionary time. Like,
Hmm.
that's true wealth. The more time that you have to do whatever the heck you want with. So the more efficient I can be by prioritizing my tasks with my deliberate action planning system, is I'm aggressive on that. I just want to lock it down so that I'm as efficient as possible, and I'm not just writing a to-do list, and then therefore I'm protecting myself, I'm managing myself within the time, which is the only thing you can do. So I want to make sure I'm still seeing my kids, still hanging out with the wife, still doing my workouts, but crushing my business and crushing my other tasks.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so uh, I have noticed on your YouTube that you probably started making content around the COVID days, right? Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
or before
Yep.
that. Is that
Right
true?
around there. I mean,
Right
we were
around there.
creating content, but not at a
Hmm.
real pace before that.
Okay, so what made you start making content around those days? Because like there's too many, there could be too many answers to that, but I just want to hear the honest answer, man.
The honest answer. So that's the guy that I was talking about that I'm going skiing with this weekend. Casey was my first co-host. Uh,
Hmm.
During COVID, the first time at least, we followed the rules and we locked down. And Casey and I worked in the garage gym all by ourselves every day. This huge gym with no people in it, doing Zoom workouts. And we were doing them like 5 times a day. And just him and I, we had the rest of the staff stay home. And we were losing our minds. Like, we were not having any fun. And we had been talking about having this podcast. And so we said, like, you know what, let's just start doing podcasts on Fridays. And we would bring in beers and burgers and
Uh-huh.
food, and we'd just make a day of it. So it became our day to just have fun. And then we started sneaking guests into the building, And like people
Okay.
just wanted to get out and do something so bad that we would come and we'd have drinks with the guests, and it just became a real fun thing. And we started to love this podcast, and that's kind of how it was born. Honestly, was just out of for something
Wow.
for us to do, and we just happened to start recording it because some of those funniest conversations would happen 3 or 4 beers
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah, yeah, man. And I personally knew this, but those who don't know, like, why do you name it Tango One Podcast?
Tango One Podcast and Tango One Solutions, which is kind of like my offsuit program for the things that I do personally outside of the gym. Tango One was the call sign for the SWAT team leader. So call sign is like, you know how they you hear on TV. There's like, hey, Tango One, can you respond? So Tango One
Yeah,
would
yeah,
be my call sign, and it still is the call sign for the SWAT team leader who works there now. It forever will be. So
yeah.
I thought
Okay.
Tango One was kind of like the cool thing. The SWAT team leader is chosen by your peers. So not it's not a promotion. It's actually nothing. It's just you're chosen as the leader,
Oh,
and you're
wow.
chosen by your peers. You're voted by your team. It's not given to you by a supervisor. So it's one of the things I'm most
Okay.
proud of, and I thought it was a kind of a cool. I was Tango One for 8 years, so I held on to it. And I just get to call myself Tango One now.
Amazing, amazing. And back then, like, do you and Danny were like in the same department, or like do you guys was like on different departments, or how was that?
So we were in the same police department, I guess. We worked for the Windsor Police, which is the
Mm-hmm.
border of Detroit. But she
Mm-hmm.
was in a different division. So she was when I
Okay.
met her, she was in like drugs. So
Okay.
she did like undercover work. So it was a kind of a cool thing. But
Ooh, yeah,
SWAT
that's
SWAT
exciting.
doesn't do real any police work. We're just the muscle for all the different units. So if homicide needs us, or if the drugs and guns needs us, so we would just go and help them. We're like a support unit, and so we were supporting her a lot. So I'd see her all the time at work, and
Hmm.
I'd do some funny things, try to take my mask off so she could see my face, and one thing led to another, and here we are, married, almost just shy of 15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, you in the beginning you went to support their department, and then you plan to support her for rest of her
Yes,
life, huh?
yeah. She couldn't resist.
Yeah, she's an amazing soul. Okay, so what do you see the next big step for your business in the next year or two? I mean, like you're planning to shift to your fourth location and going to that athlete thing, and you have a physical business which is garage gym, and you're also into the coaching space. What other areas you wanted to explore in the next year or two?
The next year is about really building out that fourth location of the athlete program. And
Mm-hmm.
we've really, really worked in terms, you said, like our brick and mortar. So we call it the garage gym, and that would be all four locations. I've really worked hard at creating a leadership team within each of those facilities over the last 6 months. And now I really need to lean into that,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to allow us to, in theory, the plan is allow us to better compensate our team and our employees so that
Mm-hmm.
these people are here to stay. I don't want the garage gym. I think one of the reasons why we're awesome at the garage gym is I don't have employee turnover like you would see at some of the smaller and maybe franchise gyms that are
Mm-hmm.
our size. My employees have been here and stay here forever, and I want this to be a career for them. So that's where we're going there, and in doing so, that allows me to lean into the remote programming and the speaking that I do a lot of public speaking and
Mm-hmm.
motivational speaking. So it allows me to do that, which really I love the gym, but I also love that. So that also turns my crank and lets me do some of these things in the coaching and the podcast, and let's allow me to grow that. So I want to lean into the leadership facilities for my brick and mortar and continue to expand this with your help, and allows me to, because I really love making a difference with these men, and the people that are in this program right now. The difference that they're seeing in my aggressively masculine program has been awesome. Like they're seeing physical change, they're seeing mental
Wow.
change, and they're succeeding more. And you asked if there was criteria to the men I work with.
Mm-hmm.
I'll work with anybody. However, they need to commit to focusing on their fitness and health at some kind of level. It doesn't have to be like the level I do it at, just a level that's improvement for them. And they need to uh, commit to doing a few other things once they join onto this program.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, man, really excited to hear about that. Okay, so what one piece of advice you would give to uh, 20 years old Tony. What piece of advice you'd give to 20 years old Tony?
Oh man, that would chill out, man. Chill
Chill
out.
out.
Like,
Chill
yeah, I
out.
think the old me, the warrior Tony, now more of the monk Tony, is was just a balls to the wall, like just going
Mm,
so hard, so fast at everything I
mhm,
did, and to take some time and you know what, maybe not chill out because I really think that I experienced so much and by making faster decisions, but chill out in terms of like when you get a win, to actually
mm.
enjoy it for a minute instead of moving on to the next one. I think that's something I've been really guilty at. Is I the second we win or we do something successful, I'm already on to the next one. I don't even spend a minute to kind of appreciate what I built, what the team did, what we accomplished together or personally.
That's so me, man. Man, that's so me. I really don't appreciate, and start to, chase things, man. Okay, so what were you doing like when you were 20 years old? Like, were you in the college, or what were your, like, day look
Uh,
like?
well, when
Do
I
you
was
remember
20
anything?
years old, I was working in a lumber yard. So
Okay.
like I was working hard actually, man. I was doing manual labor and I
Mm-hmm.
was going to college and I was
Mm-hmm.
playing football. Mostly I was playing football was the only thing I really cared about out of those three things. And I was going
Uh,
out having fun and chasing girls. It was mostly what I was doing, right? But uh, at 21, like I became a police officer. So it was like a
oh,
snap of a fingers. I tell this funny story. I not funny, but kind of cool. I think is we won the national championship for football. My college
okay.
football team, we won the national championships for all of Canada on Saturday, and then on Monday I started with the police service. And at
Wow.
21, it was young, and I'm glad that I got that opportunity. But it was a lot. It was a lot to learn and deal with very fast. I grew up quick, and I was in a
I wanna,
situation that maybe my friends
I,
weren't in.
I wanna process this. Like, does things go that fast? Like in Canada, like is there any criteria, or is there any procedure, like you go apply, is there any test or
Yes, yeah,
physical,
like
and
the
then
hiring was probably 6 months long,
ah,
and it just crossed over
okay,
with my football. But it was like you asked,
okay,
like,
okay.
and I think that maybe that's where some of that came from. It was like, what was 20-year-old Tony doing? Well, it was like 20-year-old Tony was doing this on Saturday and on this on Monday. It was like grow up, boom,
Wow, snap of
right?
a finger.
My friends all stayed right where they were,
Ah,
and grew up maybe a little bit slower past that, right? Because they didn't have their careers set, they didn't have their path set so quickly. And mine was
hmm,
just like a snap of the fingers. One day I'm in a
hmm,
locker room playing football, and the
hmm.
next day I'm in a locker room putting a gun on my hip.
Yeah, man, amazing. Do I know any of your college buddies? Like, do is there anyone still in the circle? Since I've edited too many of your podcasts, like, do I know any one of those?
I don't think I've had them on since with my podcast. No, I mean Dave. You know Dave Haas. Dave Haas and
Yeah.
I, we went to high school together. Dave and I have been friends for 35 years. He wasn't a policeman with me though, but Dave and I went to high school together. And then when I was a police officer, he owned a bar, a nightclub downtown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we hadn't seen each other in years. And I went to his bar, and he hired me to do security there on my off hours. And we kind of like rekindled our friendship and became friends again, and really never separated.
Wow. And he's of your age, right? Like he was a
Yeah,
bar
he's
owner at
exactly
the
my
age
age.
of
Yeah,
he was a bar owner at the age of 21.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
surprising,
21,
no?
22, something like that. Yeah, and one of the most
Yeah.
popular bars. So we had a
Okay,
lot of
like,
fun. We had a lot
yeah,
of fun.
he sold that bar, right?
Yes,
He sold that
exactly.
business. Yeah, man.
Yep.
He's doing amazing, man.
He's doing great
Okay, so
things.
uh, just one last question. Someone listening to you right now, who's on the fence and about to start, start something really big, and he's dealing with some issues about the mindset, being struggling with being a better dad and being a better leader. Like, what would you tell them? Like, how can the next 16 weeks change their life forever?
Uh, Discipline equals freedom.
Hmm.
So setting some habits and getting some good habits in place will
Hmm.
help you for everything that you have to do. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of people in SWAT, what I learned was so many people depended on me.
Hmm.
But if I wasn't prepared, if I was just showing up like an unmade bed, and not prepared. I didn't have discipline in my life to make sure that I was doing the things that really were important to keep me healthy and to keep me prepared and educated and motivated, then I was doing a disservice to everybody who counted on me. So I think what we tend to do is when things get stressful, we move away from the good habits that we have and the things that we should be doing for ourselves. When really, when things get stressful, we should lean harder into those habits. Right. So
Makes
during
sense.
times of, when the boat starts shaking, we should be going further into the things that keep us smooth sailing. But we tend to, as humans, get away from it. So create habits that you are ready to accomplish. Keep it simple. Create those habits and go for it every single day. Lean into them, especially when things get tough, and you'll be better prepared to deal with, the bigger problems won't seem as big. And that's the biggest thing is the bigger problems won't seem as big, and the real big problems will seem a little bit smaller too, and you'll be better ready to deal with them and help everybody around you.
Makes sense, man. I really appreciate your honesty. I know you haven't spilled the whole sauce yet. You have keep it for your coaching program, but I will drop a link in the description so you can just go and check out Tony's 16 weeks aggressively masculine program, and you can participate in that. By the way, you just launched the program in December, right? December or Jan? December.
Yeah, December was the
December.
first kind of real clients we took on. Like the program's been in the works for years,
Yeah, yeah,
unofficially,
yeah.
right? But this is the first like actual, labeled it and went after it with you in December.
Yeah. And how many people do we have inside the program? Four or how
No, right
much?
now I have six. Six. So I just had
You,
two more
we
people
have
start on Monday.
we haven't spoken about this. Like the last time we talked about it was like you were telling me initially there were three, and then you were told me that there's a new enrollment, and do we have two new members
Yeah, two
coming?
new that just started this past Monday. So we're at six.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, I don't know that I have the capacity to take on money more than like six, but they all start at different times. So that really helps. And then, I would like to get that up a couple more, but the
Yeah,
amount
yeah.
of time that I spend with them is like, limits that. But that's how I want it. I want to just work with some really good people that really want to get after it.
Okay, so when you say that you have six people and we launched the program in December, and it's been like maybe two months, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you manage the time and everything? Like, is there any weekly check-ins or like bi-weekly check-ins, and how do you manage your like gym business and this online coaching business, and while opening multiple locations? Like, how do you manage that, man? Like, isn't that too stressful?
No, honestly, it's not. It keeps me calm. I feel like when
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting still, is I feel stress. But no,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about the deliberate action planning and the cue that I
Yeah.
use is exactly how I do it. I have a lot of discipline in my schedule, which gives me so much freedom in my life. That's what's
Mm.
crazy. It's like so much discipline in my schedule creates the freedom in my life. And that's what I try to do for my clients. That's what I do for my clients, right? I want to
I
create more discipline in their lives
Yeah.
so they can have more discretionary time to do what they want with.
I actually want to confess live here on the podcast that ever since I started implementing that Q formula, it's still on my whiteboard, and every day I start my day, I take the sticky notes. I take the notes and I paste it on the priority list, and I have that four columns. And I want to confess here that ever since I started doing this, I feel I have too much time, but all the tasks are still being done. Can you
That's
believe that? That's
Isn't it the
weird.
best?
I don't know. I used
You
to
know what?
work.
I feel that sometimes too. I'm like, am I missing something? Like I
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah,
so
yeah,
much to do,
exactly.
and then you're
Exactly,
like, you know
exactly.
what, kids, let's go hang out outside, let's go, or like
I,
personally, like you can go and sit down and just go
yeah,
meet up with a friend. It's just it's awesome.
I started going out. I started meeting with my friends. I started, texting them that, man, I have so much time in my calendar. Can we just meet? And I have started giving my family a lot of time, and, everything in business is smooth and everything is going good, that I sometimes wonder, man, I'm missing something. I am definitely missing something. How can I save that much time? Like, uh, this same amount of work, same amount of clients, nothing has been changed. That how do I ended up saving so much time? And it's because of the prioritizing the my time and my priorities. And one thing I would like to say is that uh, when I start my day, I set the priority list, and as soon as I paste the sticky notes on the priority queue, I started doing those tasks in the next maybe hour or two, and I freed up so much time, and I feel like sometimes, what can I do? I even started lifting weights thrice every week, and started going to MMA practices more than 4 to 5 times every week. Whereas
Good.
before that I was going twice MMA and twice to the gym, not more than that. And because of this system, I still doubt that I'm missing something. I even on the bed before I go to sleep, I feel like, man, I'm definitely, I have definitely missed something. But you know what, the calendar is telling me, and my to-do list is telling me that everything is done. There's nothing
Yes.
left for today, man. So this is
That's
really
amazing,
amazing,
man.
man.
That's amazing. Like
Writing things down and setting the priority makes things easier, and cutting the noise. Especially there's especially a Q column for that noise thing. That's really annoying. That's something that really keeps popping on your mind, but it's really not that important. So yeah, man, I really appreciate you, man, for
oh,
introducing that
I
system to
love
me, man.
love hearing that, man. And that's the best because at the end of the day, like my motto really is, you know, do more,
Mm.
right, for others and be more for yourself, right? Do more for others and be more for yourself. And I think like people think with my program it's about getting more done. It's actually not.
Mm.
It's about giving yourself to do more of the things that you want so you can be more for others and be more present for others, which includes yourself. The fact that you're
Yeah.
getting so much more done, that you're able to do some of the things that you love and enjoy. I think that we just feel like a busy calendar is the most important thing in the world. It's not.
Yeah. It's
It's
not.
not.
Yes.
It's not. It's about like enjoying the things that you do and enjoying the people that you're around. And who do we put aside when we're really busy? The first people we put aside is ourselves, and the most important people, your daughters, your wife, your whoever that is for you. So I love to hear that. I love it. So please keep doing it, man. And I think it's also important that the part of the prioritization list is stacking wins. You see those priority one tasks, they're super important. And instead of those like
Yeah.
sitting on your mind, like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'm going to get
Yeah.
this done. And you start your day with those wins. You're in such a better mindset that now when you go to your gym, you go for your workout, or you sit down to read, or you pray, or whatever it is that everybody does, you're
Mm.
just way more present in that
Yeah.
moment. And your presence is your greatest gift to this world, is the presence, is your presence.
Yeah, presence is the greatest gift to the world, man. Thank you for your presence on today's podcast, man. I really appreciate that, man. And I could not thank God enough for introducing you to me. Like, you have been a game changer for my business, for my personal development, and especially for my personal development. So I really appreciate that, man, for you being here, and I'm really grateful for that.
Hey man, it goes likewise, and you've been helping me a lot. And you got to put the gun to my head for this content creation sometimes. So I got to practice what I
Yeah,
preach a little bit more because I've been slacking lately. But
yeah,
I'm gonna get back on that thing. I was doing so great, and technical difficulties always get me flawed, always, man. But I recommend you to everybody I can, and you know that. And it's funny,
yeah,
I
man.
literally just picked you. I just picked. I think I don't even know how I picked it. I just clicked the name and reached out to you one day, and here we are a year later. And
Yeah,
you've heightened both the garage gym and my personal brand. Like, I think people should know that you don't just do my personal brand, you do both. And we've seen more followers, we've seen more engagement. We've the garage gym in particular, like my personal brand was starting from almost zero with the coaching. So
yeah,
I think that one is easier, so to speak, to raise
yeah.
up. But man, the garage gym was a very successful full business when you started on, and it's become more successful and more full. And I think that's even harder to do. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate you and your team very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate that. And I'll see you next time, man.
Yes, sir.